Hello, welcome to NeitherNor's Taste and Paint event. Come on in. If you're new here, NeitherNor is my brand where I bring people together through food. Usually, I host intimate supper clubs out of my apartment, but today we're switching things up with a larger community taste and paint event. For the spring edition, I designed a specialized snack buffet that blends seasonal Swedish ingredients with the bold flavors of South India. We're talking things like wild garlic and lemon cucumber sandwiches, masala vada with a mint and pea puree, mango mousse cake, and so much more. Behind an event like this is a mountain of invisible work, days of logistical planning, creative bandwidth, and relentless grocery runs. But today we're going straight to the heart of it, the kitchen. I'm going to show you how I cooked a fusion buffet entirely by myself in just 2 days. Day 1 starts now. Friday morning started bright, but not so early. We had a long night before, so I overslept a bit, which instantly threw me off my timeline, but I wasn't too worried. Famous last words, right? No, but actually I had a relatively chill day ahead. First up on the agenda was making the Labneh for our tadka Labneh and pepper chicken vol au vents. If you've never made Labneh, it's incredibly easy. It's essentially like a really super thick yogurt. By adding a touch of salt and giving it a good whisk, you draw out almost all of the moisture. I put it into a muslin cloth lined strainer, popped it in the fridge, and left it to do its thing until tomorrow. Next, it was time for the star of all dessert tables, a mango mousse cake. Look, having a mango dessert on the menu was an absolute no-brainer. Hello, it's finally mango season. Even though we're reaching the tail end of it now as you're watching this, bringing those incredible Indian mangoes into the mix was essential. I actually did a recipe test the weekend before and oh man, it was incredible. So I made the executive decision to bake 2 cakes instead of 1, just in case people wanted seconds. Or even thirds, and if there are any leftovers, that is a problem I am more than happy to solve. Now, a quick pro tip for any recipe that needs measuring. Instead of using 100 separate bowls to weigh out every single ingredient, I use the reverse weighing method. I put the entire container of an ingredient, like let's say flour, straight onto the scale, set it to 0, and as I scoop it out into my mixing bowl, the scale goes into negatives to show me exactly how much I've taken out. It sounds a little backward, but it saves me so much washing up, and this is what I always do. Now coming back to the actual cake. Stage 1 was a classic vanilla sponge, followed by a vibrant mango gel layer set with vegan gelatin. While the cake was baking and the gel was setting, it was time for my favorite ritual, mise en place. If you watch my videos, you know I like my veggies chopped and ready, so the actual cooking is a breeze. Today's lineup: herbs, onion 2 ways, garlic, tomatoes, and chilies. The cake came out looking absolutely perfect, so I set it aside to cool and immediately pivoted to the heavy cooking. First up was the base for the masala puri. Yes, we are totally doing a proper Bengaluru street style masala puri. While that was frying away, I got a head start on the pepper chicken. The secret to that classic deep brown pepper chicken color is roasting the spices incredibly slowly and for a long time. At this point, I was fully multitasking. Spices roasting on one burner, masala cooking down on another, all while I chopped chicken thighs into bite-sized pieces. Once that was done, I got started on cooking the pepper chicken. The onions and garlic from earlier were tossed around in a generous amount of ghee and then in went the chicken. I left that to cook down fully and then I brought out my most trusted kitchen sidekick, my handy Indian mixer grinder, aka the Mixie. I blitzed up the roasted spices for the pepper chicken and then blended the masala puri paste, which I then packed into an airtight container for tomorrow. While the chicken was finishing up, I had to make the second batch of the mango gel. I couldn't do it at the same time as the earlier batch because I had only one mold, so it was a patient game of letting the first one set, transferring that onto a plate, and then starting again. With the chicken almost cooked, I added the prepared masala powder we just made, and just like that, the stovetop cooking was officially wrapped for the day. Until I had to make a quick noodle and sausage stir fry for lunch to clear out a lot of leftovers from Vivek's birthday barbecue last weekend. This was very resourceful and of course very delicious. Break over, back to cake duties. It was now time for the mousse. I whipped the cream to soft peaks using 36% fat instead of my usual 40% because the 40% one was out of stock, and this kind of worried me a bit. While that was whipping, I made a mango gelatin mixture similar to the gel but with different ratios and folded that into the whipped cream for the perfect mango flavor and of course some stability. It tasted so good, I was genuinely so excited. For assembly, the gel layer wasn't quite the same size as the cake tin, but a little manual maneuvering never hurt anyone. I carefully poured the mousse equally over both cakes and used the very last of my cling wrap to cover it tight. It was now time to send them into the fridge and forget about them until tomorrow. To begin wrapping up day 1, I prepped the lemon dill cream cheese for our sandwiches. I used high quality cream cheese and mixed in a limited edition Västerbotten cream cheese, which adds this really cool sharp Swedish flavor note alongside plenty of lemon zest, juice and fresh dill. A little spoiler alert, I actually made too much of this, but I ate it every single day after the event for breakfast and it was so fresh, very zesty, and this tastes good for about a week in the fridge. After packing this into an airtight container, the absolute final task was simmering a rich date and tamarind chutney for the masala puri. And just like that, prep day 1 was officially done. Unlike day 1, day 2 started super early. I was out of bed by 6 am and back in the kitchen by 7, ready to hit the ground running. The first task was getting the dal soaking for the masala vada. Now, since the dal isn't boiled beforehand and is fried basically raw, getting the perfect soak is actually really crucial to achieving that signature crispy on the outside and soft on the inside consistency. So I just quickly washed it well and left it to soak till later. Before sleeping last night, I soaked some dried green peas for the masala puri, so I got that into the pressure cooker. If you're wondering if you can use raw fresh peas, the answer is no. You won't get the same result, and if you live outside India, you will find it pretty easily in any Indian or Middle Eastern store. Next up, baking the vol au vent shells. I actually made these for the Valentine's Day edition of Taste and Paint with a potato filling, and that video is actually up on my channel and linked above if you want to check it out. They're essentially just circular puff pastry shells with higher walls thanks to double layering, making them the perfect vessel to hold pretty much anything. The secret here is using high quality puff pastry made with real butter and keeping it cold. So I work with just one sheet at a time. Now before you ask me what I do with the pastry scraps, I just roll them up and save them for a snack making session later. I line each one with some egg wash and nigella seeds and pop them in the oven, and then I repeat the same process for the remaining pastry till I have around 40 to 45 shells ready. Once they bake and puff up, you will gently push the centers down and voila! Perfect vol au vent shells. By now the peas were cooked and cool, so I swapped them out to pressure cook the potatoes now for the masala puri. Then it was time for day 2's mise en place, but with some multitasking. I started on a mint and pea puree for the masala vada. They're just lightly sauteed with some onion and garlic and blended till you get a creamy puree. It's not exactly a classic pairing combination for these vadas, but I really wanted to lean into that fresh spring theme. Speaking of spring, I also made a Ramslök or wild garlic chutney for the cucumber sandwiches. Using Ramslök for a spring event in Sweden is a total no-brainer. It's only available for a few weeks in May and the flavor is incredibly fresh but also really strong. So it makes for the perfect chutney and tastes almost like a coriander mint one but a bit more alumi. Next on the chopping block, ginger, garlic, herbs and onions for the vadas, plus some extra herbs for garnishing. Now back to the sandwiches. I initially thought about doing elegant cucumber ribbons, but after prepping just one, I realized it didn't add much to the presentation or eating experience. It just wasted time and created too much scrap. So I pivoted. I used my mandolin to get those perfectly thin slices, then laid them out on paper towels to soak up all the excess moisture. The last veggie task was grating the carrots for the masala puri to be used as garnish, which literally took 2 seconds thanks to my stand mixer attachment. Finally, I whipped up a fresh Chantilly cream for the mango cake. Guys, I literally use this for almost all my desserts. It sounds very fancy, Chantilly and all that, but it's literally just whipped cream, icing sugar, and I add mascarpone for a rich mouthfeel and more stability. Once done, I just packed it into containers and it was time to head to the venue. It was almost noon now and guests were arriving in less than 3.5 hours. The timing here is basically like an art form. I needed to move fast enough to give myself a moment to breathe before the chaos, but not so fast that the food would get cold or sad before people actually arrived. So step 1 at the venue was getting all of the prep containers straight into the fridge, and while Vivek handled the furniture, I got to work simmering the masala puri curry and frying off the puris. In between batches, we styled the tables using these incredibly cute paper tablecloths. Honestly, they are a lifesaver for events like this because they catch all of the paint splatters and food crumbs without ruining the tables underneath. I wanted to go for that apartment cafe style, so I put a lighter colored tablecloth in the food area. With the venue starting to come together, I did a quick sprint back home to make the masala vada mix. I didn't do it before heading to the venue because the dals needed more time to soak and also dry a bit before I ground them, so this extra time was actually perfect. I also took this brief window to quickly shower, change, and make myself look human again. Back at the venue, I started the first fry of the vadas, Vivek helped chop the final garnishes, and my friend Saurabha arrived to help capture the event. It was officially showtime. Just before the guests started showing up, I assembled the fresh cucumber sandwiches with the Ramslok chutney, lemon dill cream cheese, and sliced cucumbers. And while the guests finally started showing up, I plated the rest of the buffet. So the masala vada with the pea puree, pepper chicken and Labneh tadka vol-au-vents, and the masala puri was already ready to go. Everything came together so beautifully, the room was buzzing, people were mingling, sharing food and getting completely lost painting their fabric pouches. This is exactly what I envisioned for NeitherNor, and I'm so glad with how everything turned out. A few hours into the evening, I brought out the star of the show, the mango mousse cake. I added the final piping of Chantilly cream on top with some more mangoes and it was ready. Now remember when I said that I was worried that using 36% cream versus 40% might be an issue? Well, it was a bit too soft for my liking, but I think I'm always my biggest critic because it was fully devoured before I could even blink. To go with the cake, Vivek and Saurabha brewed a fresh batch of coffee and it was the absolute perfect end to an amazing Saturday. Around 7:38, the last of the guests left, so Saurabha and Vivek helped me tackle the cleanup and we officially wrapped up for the night. Hosting these larger community events is a lot of heavy lifting, but seeing everyone connect over the shared love of food and creativity makes every single minute of kitchen chaos absolutely worth it. Thank you so much for watching and coming along on this prep journey with me. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, leave a comment and subscribe to the channel. It helps out immensely. If you want to join us for the next NeitherNor event, or if you're craving the recipes for some of the dishes you saw today, all the links and details are down in the description box below. Enjoy and I will see you in the next one. Bye!